Greetings, and welcome back to Asafo Academic. Got another debunk video over here with a Black conservative perspective. Now, I'm not too interested in continuing to do debunk videos on the same topics over and over again. I definitely do want to make my point about history, but I've noticed this from the Black conservatives. Every now and then they'll speak on cultural issues without not having any real connection to the culture. They present themselves as Black conservatives. So to the conservative crowd, they use their Blackness to speak as an authority on certain topics. And as we see here, the Black conservative perspective is going to be speaking on the issue of natural hair racism. Now, this word victimhood over here, it's a buzzword that conservatives in general like to use against liberals. Conservatives essentially say that liberals only complain about being victims. So essentially, that's where this term victimhood comes from. And I mean, I see what they're saying to a certain extent, but the conservatives want to ignore the systematic racism entirely. So it goes from one extreme to the other. Now, I'm not saying bringing up racism, anti-blackness is victimhood, but the way that the Democrats lead the conversation on anti-blackness definitely doesn't benefit the Black community, especially when we look at exactly what the Democrats have done for Black people specifically. So, reeling it back with this issue of natural hair racism, I just found it very fascinating that he would even speak on this issue. Just listening to him give his commentary. It was very tone deaf, but I will play the video. I will get a I will let him get his full perspective, and then I'll essentially be breaking it down. So without further ado, let's go.
However, for whatever reason, they found time to talk about Michelle Obama and straight hair racism, okay? Because apparently Black women are upset, they're angry because they feel like America is not ready for their natural hair. And this is a conversation that upset people like Don Lemon and other angry Black women because of the comments that Michelle Obama made. And I want to go ahead and play this segment, this clip of this conversation that they had here on CNN, because I just find the victimhood complex, the complaining here, to be just so out of control.
So he called it a victimhood complex about Black women and their natural hair. Let's go.
First Lady Michelle Obama revealing that she considered wearing her natural hair and braids during her time at the White House, but decided that Americans weren't ready for her natural black hair. Listen to the former First Lady.
As Black women, we deal with it. The whole thing about, do you show up with your natural hair? You know, braids, y'all. You know, but you know, as First Lady, I did not wear braids. Being the first Black. I mean, we gotta ease up on the people. You know, just like, because I thought about it. I was like, it would be easier. Nope, they're not ready.
The former First Lady says that she kept her hair straight so her husband's administration could focus on other issues and not her hair. The Obamas were very cognizant of how much attention was paid to how they looked and how they acted because they were Black. They also knew how powerful representation was and still is. So like this moment, this was in 2009 when a young Black boy reached up to touch the president's hair. So, Carrie, look, it's a thing for us, like this whole hair thing that I struggled with as a kid. I used to process my hair, but the blowout, if you remember that, I don't do it anymore. This is my hair. But especially for Black women, it's a thing. So getting jobs, perception, and so on. So you've dealt with that, I'm sure, with your career and in your personal life over the years. You relate to what Michelle Obama is saying?
You know, this is why we love Michelle, because very much like what the president said, when that little kid reached out to touch his hair, he could relate to who he was. That is what's happening every single day when I hear Michelle say things that relate to me and the life in which I live. When I decided I wanted to be in TV, Don, I was told, I mean, in no uncertain terms, by the news director who hired me, how will you wear your hair? And I looked at him, and I remember it like it was yesterday. And it was in 2000, it was in West Virginia. And I was just like, wow, I'm going to wear my hair how I wear my hair, which was natural. This obviously is not my hair, but I wore my hair out, which is, you know, if you wash it, it looks like it could be texturized. It's not very familiar. You know how it is. And people call it kinky, or whatever you want to call it. Sometimes America, especially for Black women, has made us feel like our hair is unacceptable. Yeah. So we straighten, we perm it. This is a unit. This isn't my hair. I'm not fooling anybody, but this is what has been more acceptable. And sadly, you know, I've given into that in many ways, much like what Michelle Obama said. She was like, the administration isn't ready. Really, it's just so sad. It really is.
I have
And on the point about Michelle Obama's hair, I actually agree with that. I agree that if she had natural hair, I feel like there would be endless articles about professionalism and just how much Michelle Obama doesn't have class. I really do believe that.
fake little clip-ins that I wear every day, and Don sees my fake hair in the makeup room.
I wanted some.
But that is not, hold on, but I don't want to equate. That is not to say it is nowhere near what Black women have gone through with their hair. It is nowhere near. It is not the same. I'm just trying to tell you, I hear you.
I would never ask to touch anybody's hair. I just wouldn't. I'm not fascinated to walk up to you, Poppy, touch your hair. Or I wouldn't want to walk up to my colleague that isn't Black and touch their hair.
Right.
And the fact that Black women are treated like exhibits, you know, in a museum, for lack of a better word. It really is. I want you to know every time that happens, we're in our mind, here we go again.
And you
want
think
to touch my hair.
that often our kids are being taught the wrong lesson now?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Teach your kids that we have different texture hair. It's still the same thing. It still grows. It may not be as long. It may not be as blonde naturally. If you notice that someone's hair may not seem like it's their hair, please don't ask, what is that on your head? How do you wear your hair? Is that all your? I mean, everyone wears extensions. For some reason, when Black women wear extensions, it's like everyone stop and take a look at this person who is an exhibit. They have long hair. Why is that? None of that should be a conversation. There's a song, Do Not Touch My Hair. Literally built on the fact that that's what women have dealt with, Black women specifically.
Jesus Christ, man. Wow. I can't believe they actually aired a segment about straight hair /
So look at his reaction to that segment.
On the fact that that's what women have dealt with, Black women specifically.
Jesus Christ, man.
So he honestly feels embarrassed that a Black woman would have a conversation about natural Black hair in the workplace. He feels embarrassed by this. Okay, let's go.
Wow. I can't believe they actually aired a segment about straight hair / natural hair racism towards Black women in this country when we have so many more important things to talk about. Okay, listen, I don't mind doing.
Okay, so he thinks there's more important things to talk about, but here you are talking about it, right?
What I call low-hanging fruit stories, right? But, you know, look, man, I don't mind doing what I call low-hanging fruit stories, right?
So he's calling this a low-hanging fruit story. So he's above the story, but he's about to make himself an authority on the story with his Black conservative perspective. Let's go.
But, you know, look, man, that's CNN, okay? This is why your ratings are in the tank. Because I can tell you right now, nobody cares about Black women's hair texture, okay? I'm not sure white people do, but I don't imagine that most of them really care.
So this is his first point. He thinks that nobody cares about Black women's hair texture. This is his first point.
Okay, and in work, right now, nobody cares about Black women's hair texture, okay? I'm not sure white people do, but I don't imagine that most of them really care, okay? And in the workplace, I think that it's just expected that you wear hair that is professional. Now, whether that is...
So it's just expected that you wear your hair that is professional. Interesting.
Surrounded by white supremacy, that's a conversation that the wokes love to have. But in general, I just think you should have your hair be not messy, right? But I don't think anybody...
So now he's trying to make it seem like the issue is messy and not messy hair. Interesting.
Cares if a Black woman wears her hair in a natural way. But I don't think anybody cares if a black woman wears her hair in a natural way.
So this is the second time he's saying he doesn't think nobody cares that black women wear their hair in a natural way.
I never even noticed it. I don't care. The only time I ever really care or notice is in situations where I may have to tug it, right? Because, I got a strong grip. Okay, I'm also a strong person, right? I go to the gym a lot. So, if I end up having to tug in situations where it's appropriate to tug, I might pull off the wig, right?
So this is his second point. His second point is the only time he might care is when he's having sex with a black woman. So this is his second point. This is the type of analysis you get with black conservatives. So this is the second point. He's not really going anywhere, and now he has put himself into the position about the opinion of black hair, and when it's not necessarily black men's opinion about black hair, that is the problem, right?
I've just said that in situations where it's appropriate to tug, I might pull off the wig, right? So I've just said that would kill the mood, right? And that's the only time I actually care. And from my experience, personally, right? Y'all can, tell me what you think about this. But as a black person, even when I get my hair cut, when I don't get my hair cut, I don't think that white people really notice all that much, okay? Even when I get my hair cut, y'all can, tell me what you think about this.
So he just inserted his experience into an issue about black women's hair. So this is his third point. This is his third point. His first point was he doesn't think white people care that much. His second point is he doesn't care about women's hair unless he's having sex with black women. And now this is his third point.
But as a black person, even when I get my hair cut, when I don't get my hair cut, I don't think that white people really notice all that much, okay? Black people definitely can tell the difference when a black person hasn't had their hair cut. But in my experience, white people really can't tell or really even care if a black person has had their hair cut, like a black man, unless it's like super.
So the issue is about black women in their hair in the workplace. And now he just put his experience into it. He's like, look, nobody cared about what I did with my hair.
Super messy. Or if it was long, like they had an afro and then they cut it. That's the only time I've ever heard a white person really comment on my hair or a haircut that I've had or whatever is when there's been like super, obvious changes. I'm talking about going from a fro to like, again, a buzz cut or something like that.
And this is the tragedy of black conservatives. They're so isolated in their world. They're so far removed from the actual community. He actually is saying all this stuff with complete confidence, as if there's no issue with natural hair. This is the mental gymnastics that black conservatives have to do to appease their white conservative counterparts, is to completely deny systemic anti-blackness exists. Now, this is the third point. Now he's talking about his own experiences. He's not a black woman. I don't know if anything's changed in the past 9 minutes, but now he's inserted his own experience about a topic that deals with black women.
Or fade. That's it. So I think in my experience, personally, again, I'm not a black woman, so I only can say so much. I think black women are the only people or the main people that really care about their hair, right? Because me personally, I don't care if a black woman wears fake hair or real hair. If a black woman wants to wear her natural hair, which I support, okay, I support that, fine. I'm totally fine with that. I don't care. Not a big deal to me. If they want to wear fake hair, fine, not a big deal to me either. I don't think people are thinking about it like that. I don't think it's that deep. But for whatever reason, once again, we have the woe is me, I'm a victim. I couldn't wear braids in the White House. It's like, bro, I don't think anybody would have cared. I really don't think anybody would have cared.
So this is his main thing. He doesn't have any information or facts or statistics or nothing. And these are the same people that love to say facts over statistics. These are just essentially his feelings on the topic about black women and their hair. He has really no authority to really speak on this issue, but here he is inserting himself into the conversation for whatever reason. I mean, this is a little bit to do with politics, but this is not really his lane all around. But that's the black conservative for you. They'll never miss a beat to say that systematic oppression doesn't exist. Look at the patterns.
And Michelle Obama decided to braid her hair. Who cares? Maybe a bunch of women care. I don't think men care that much. I really don't. I really don't. But again, I could be wrong about this. I don't know. Again, I learned on the abortion thing.
So after 10 minutes, he actually says he could be wrong on this. Interesting.
Maybe my perspective is a little bit biased, right? I'm biased. So when it comes to women's issues and what they care about and what they experience, hey, I'm not the one to listen to because honestly, I really don't know. But I'm just speaking from a man's perspective. I don't give a damn, right? I don't care, right? I think this is one of those woe is me, boo-hoo, our hair, such and such and such and such. It's like, bro, listen, I'm not saying this experience hasn't happened to you, okay? Because there are some, parts of the world like China where this does happen to black people, right? Where black people are kind of looked at as, exotic creatures.
So imagine that he goes to put it on China. He skips over the continent, or not the continent, the country that he's in, to go to a completely different landmass and say, yeah, maybe it exists in China, out of all places. He said, natural hair discrimination only exists maybe in China. Imagine that. Imagine that.
Right, when they try to touch you and stuff like that, looked at as, exotic creatures, right? When they try to touch you and stuff like that. At least that's what I heard. I haven't been, so I can't verify for sure, but maybe it does happen. I would.
So a lot of, I don't know, I haven't been, I don't know, and for what? And for what?
Be surprised. But I think in this country right here, I'm not necessarily sure if I'm buying into this idea that there's so many random people that are trying to touch your hair or they really care that much about your hair. Maybe some of them do. And even if they do, a lot of times it comes from a place of curiosity in the sense that, hey, I've never touched that hair texture. I've never, experienced that. I want to touch.
So now, like, he went from he doesn't know, he's not buying into it, and he's like, even if it does, it's just curiosity, right? This is the crowd that says facts over feelings.
Touch it. I want to, see what it feels like. And I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with that. I really don't. If people are interested in, I guess, aspects of who you are, your race, your culture, maybe instead of pushing them away, maybe you should actually embrace it. And that's not me saying that you should just let any and everybody touch your hair just so that they can feel it. But what I'm saying is that maybe you shouldn't be so offended by it. Maybe you shouldn't take it as some type of slight or that people are looking at you as some type of animal. Because again, there have been situations where, again, you have friends from different parts of the world and their hair is just different. And you do wonder, like, I wonder what that feels like. Again, doesn't mean I'm gonna go out here and start touching it, right? Or even ask them, can I touch it? Me personally, I'm not gonna ask, but it is a level of curiosity there. And I don't think that's a bad thing.
So all it is just curiosity. That's it. So that's pretty much it. That's all he really has to say. I mean, the first 3 points were really nothing. And now he's coming to his final point that even if it does happen, if he does buy into it, he said he doesn't buy into it, but if it does happen, so he's giving this two-way answer sort of. It's just curiosity. Don't worry about it, right? So what this guy did was he conflated several different issues into one. So the real issue was Black women's hair in the corporate world and socially. In the corporate world, they're pressured not to have natural hair. In the social world, people want to touch their hair all the time, specific to Black women. This is not an issue for Black men. Maybe Black men with dreads, but the natural Black man with afro, I do not think it is a issue. I know I didn't have that issue when I had a fro and everything. So this issue of natural hair is unique to Black women, is what I'm trying to say. And there is stuff that is unique to Black women in terms of anti-Blackness, and there is stuff that's unique to Black men when it comes to anti-Blackness. So what Black conservative perspective did was he conflated the issue. He went from changing the issue of the corporate and sociology to himself. He said he doesn't care, as if he was the one making the decisions in the corporate world. He wasn't the one making the decisions in the corporate world, so that's why his opinion doesn't really matter, essentially. So he did that. He put his own experience of himself as a black man, but this issue has nothing to do with black men in general. It's specific to black women, right? So he conflated the issue at hand to give a half-baked opinion that really didn't go anywhere. He essentially said 2 times, I don't know, right? So I'm gonna help him, and help anybody who doesn't understand natural hair racism, because I don't, you see, black men don't need to be black women to understand the issue, right? So I'm just gonna demonstrate that with some simple research. Even if you're out of the US and you don't know much about this, I'm gonna go through it and I'm just gonna show how insanely tone deaf he was to even attempt to say that, this aspect, this dynamic doesn't exist. It's crazy. Out of all the things he could have got into, he decided to get into black women's hair. But here we go, right? And I'm not gonna read every single article. I will have every single article in the description box so you can see for yourself. So the first one, how natural black hair at work became a civil rights issue. On the 55th anniversary of the Civil Rights Act, U.S. courts are still divided about African women's right to wear their natural hair in their workplace. So this became a civil rights issue. So decades of history already that he wants to ignore. What was the word he said?
Because I can tell you right now, nobody cares about black women's hair texture. Okay.
Next one. So this is from the Legal Defense Fund. Sorry, the first one was from Journal Daily. This is from the Legal Defense Fund, Natural Hair Discrimination. Hair discrimination is rooted in systematic racism, and its purpose is to preserve white spaces. Policies that prohibit natural hairstyles like afros, braids, bantu knots, and locks have been used to justify the removal of black children from classrooms and black adults from their employment. With no nationwide legal protection against hair discrimination, black people are often left to risk facing consequences at school or work for their natural hair, or invest time and money to conform to Eurocentric professionalism and beauty standards. Legal Defense Fund, natural hair discrimination. Let's go. Washington Post. More states are trying to protect black employees who want to wear natural hairstyles at work. Why would more states need to protect black employees who want to wear natural hair if white people did not care about black women's hair? Interesting. Go on to the next one. Virginia Law Review. So this is the second legal article that we got so far. Black women's hair and natural hairstyles in the workplace, expanding the definition of race under Title VII. So Virginia Law Review. Next one. This looks like an independent media source or even a fashion. 22 corporate women share what wearing their natural hair to work means. So let's see here. Changing our hair can mean dealing with blank stares, mindless questions, and microaggressions in the workplace from non-black peers. Like when you walk in with natural hair and everyone awkwardly avoids eye contact. This reality is especially heightened when you can work in corporate America, a historically white patriarchal space full of people who often look the same. According to the Harvard Business Review, in 2018, there were only 3 Black CEOs in Fortune 500 companies, and none of them were women. With this lack of diversity, the celebration of Black hair in the workplace, which encompasses countless Black hairstyles, can be complex, challenging, and isolating. So that is just a little bit about this article and where it's going and the direction of it. Next, the World Economic Forum. World Economic Forum, writing articles on systematic racism, how wearing natural hairstyles harms the job prospects of Black women. This was last year. World Economic Forum. Okay? Even the World Economic Forum is writing articles on Black women's hairstyles. Okay. Fortune magazine. Fortune. The career section. The Crown Act highlights years of workplace hair discrimination finally being legally reprehensible. Fortune, the Crown Act. The Crown Act was a piece of legislation specifically geared towards targeting natural hair discrimination in the workplace. But what did Bro say?
Because I can tell you right now, nobody cares about Black women's hair texture, okay?
Research suggests bias against natural hair limits job opportunities for Black women. This is from Duke Education. Duke Education Department. Faculty plus research. Okay? Black women with natural hairstyles were perceived as less professional, less likely to get interviews. 2020. Next. Essence Magazine. So we've seen that I have pulled so far a plethora of news sources. Black women speak up about their struggles wearing natural hair in the workplace. I will continue on. Forbes. I think this was the second financial publication. To straighten or to not straighten. The difficult decision that Black women face when it comes to their hair. Right? This is Forbes. Forbes is getting in on the action now. Next one. So, another law publication, ALM law. This is more business law. Black hair is never just hair. A closer look at Afro discrimination in the workplace. The curiosity to touch Afro hair starts in school and continues into adulthood, transferring to the workplace, says this lawyer in a piece for UK Black History Month. From the UK. Shall I continue? Okay. Next one. Shape Magazine. 11 Black women get real about natural hair at job interviews. Research shows that Black women with natural hairstyles such as twists, braids, and fros are perceived as less professional and competent, and thus less likely to get job interviews than their straight-haired counterparts. Next one. Refinery 29. These 10 black women want you to stop commenting on their hair at work. In case you somehow don't already know, it's never okay to reach out your hand and touch a black woman's hair without permission. I mean, how was that ever even a thing? CNBC. CNBC. Why ending hair discrimination should be an essential part of companies' DEI efforts. Diversity, equity, inclusion efforts. CNBC. CNBC.
Because I can tell you right now, nobody cares about black women's hair texture, okay?
Next one. Bloomberg Law. Bloomberg Law. Black hair bias laws spread, including in handful of red states. So, talking about the Crown Act. So at this point, August 2022, 18 states have passed Crown Acts in the 3 years. Bloomberg. Bloomberg. We shall continue. Huffington Post, we need to talk about hair anxiety for black women at work. Huffington Post shall continue. We're doing a very thorough debunking. For black workers, an unwelcome workplace focus on their hair. CBS News. CBS. ADP. Legislative trends, hairstyle discrimination in the workplace. Who is ADP? Let's see who ADP is. About ADP. At ADP, what we do is about people. Although we have a strong history of providing solutions for human resource challenges, we strive to do more than that. We challenge ourselves to anticipate, think forward, and take action in a way that empowers us to shape the changing world of work. ADP, Human Resources. ADP is proud to be named to Fortune magazine's World's Most Admired Companies. Remember, we did an article on Fortune magazine. Looks like we are in good company here. So, next one. Oh, there are many. There are many. There are many. There are many. Endless articles coming through. This isn't just a one and done. LinkedIn article. Independent LinkedIn article. Will employers be ready for black women's natural hair in the workplace? This is by LaPonda F. Fitzpatrick. Equity, Diversity, Inclusion, and Culture Transformation Consultant. We got another one. Independent. So these are various sources of information that all point to the same thing. Black women's natural hair in the workplace.
Because I can tell you right now, nobody cares about black women's hair texture, okay?
Next one. Sage Journals. Okay. Abstract. Across 4 studies, we demonstrate a bias against black women with natural hairstyles in job recruitment. In study 1, participants evaluated profiles of black and white female job applicants across a variety of hairstyles. We found that Black women with natural hairstyles were perceived to be less professional, less competent, and less likely to be recommended for a job interview than Black women with straightened hairstyles and white women with either curly or straight hairstyles. We replicated these findings in a controlled experiment in study 2. In study 3A and 3B, we found Black women with natural hairstyles received more negative evaluations when they applied for a job in an industry with strong dress norms. Taken together, this article advances the research on biases in the labor market in the age of social media use and highlights the importance of taking an intersectional approach when studying inequity in the workplace. So this is the abstract on a paper, a journalistic paper, or I should say an academic paper. References, biographies, you name it. Like I said, all these links will be in the description. Let's continue. Let's get it all out there. Let's not leave any stone unturned. So from Cision, PR, public relations, new Dove study confirms workplace bias against hairstyles, impacts Black women's ability to celebrate their natural beauty. News provided by the Crown Coalition. Dove, the soap company. Soap. New Dove study. Even Dove is doing research.
Because I can tell you right now, nobody cares about Black women's hair texture, okay?
Next one. Toronto Star. All the way in Canada. Toronto Star. Black people deal with hair discrimination everywhere. Will Canada take a cue from the US's Crown Act and end it? This was June 17, 2022. This was recent. Canada. We've gone international a bit. Next one. Why Black hair is a workplace issue. Cognizant. Black women are often judged by different standards in the workplace. By openly talking about this dynamic, we can combat ignorance and change attitudes. Okay, next one. Got the BBC, British Broadcasting Channel News. Wear weave at work, your afro hair is unprofessional. All the way from the UK. So now we've really gone international. We've gone overseas now. Went from Canada now to Britain. They're covering it. Okay. Next one. Michigan State University, MSU. MSU research exposes discrimination against Black women with natural hair. This was like the third or fourth article on research done. This was the third or fourth article on research done. Data was collected on this issue. What do they say? Facts over feelings.
Because I can tell you right now, nobody cares about Black women's hair texture, okay?
Let's go. Why does my crown offend you? A conversation about Black hair in the workplace and the push to normalize its professionalism. Hear perspectives from a natural hairstylist and a TV news journalist who both support the Crown Act and its mission to ban hair discrimination. Boom. On to the next one. National Urban League. Shocking survey highlights hair-based discrimination in the workplace. November 21st, 2022. This actually just came out today. Shocking. Well, if you've been through this video, it's not very shocking at all, but yeah, shocking survey highlights, right? November 21st, 2022. This was today. This was today. This article came out.
Because I can tell you right now, nobody cares about black women's hair texture, okay?
Next. Global Citizen. 8 states across the U.S. that have banned black hair discrimination. The Crown Act protects people against hair discrimination in schools and the workplace. So this was actually a article that came out earlier before one of the other ones, where it was 18 states now as of June 2022. This was in March 5th, 2021. Next one. The Washington Post. So this is nothing to do with a black woman.
Because I can tell you right now, nobody cares about black women's hair texture, okay?
But essentially it's still the same. A wrestler, nothing to do with corporate, nothing to do with, well, I guess this is more of a social issue. A wrestler was forced to cut his dreadlocks before a match. His town is still looking for answers. We scroll down here. This is the actual moment where they cut off the dreads. He had to cut it off or he wouldn't be able to compete. This was a last minute thing that was decided. And luckily for him, he'd actually won. Because it would have been a lot more devastating had he not won that competition. There's a picture of him winning, right? So it's like, I found all these articles, right? I found all these articles. And you would think that I did some massive research project to find all these articles. This is the great reveal. This is the great reveal. Drum roll, please. See what I typed in? I typed in black woman's hair in the workplace. That's all I typed in. I didn't type in anything about discrimination, about racism, nothing. Black women's hair in the workplace. I got nearly 75 million results in 1.21 seconds. There's a bit of a lag, so it would have been half the time, but I got 75 million results in 1.21 seconds. And then we have Buddy, Black Conservative Perspective, try to act like it's not a thing.
Because I can tell you right now, nobody cares about black women's hair texture, okay?
So hopefully I was able to demonstrate, you know, how do I put this? I mean, tone deaf is one thing, but the information is insurmountable. And this is the thing, they ignore insurmountable information to try and make a point that's actually not true. And then they turn around and say, oh, it's facts over feelings. It's very interesting. Very interesting. But hopefully you've learned something through all the articles I went through. Like I said, all the links will be in the description box. But tell me what you think Did I do a thorough enough job to show natural hair discrimination in the corporate workplace? You let me know. Get in the comment section. And until the next video, peace out.
Because I tell you right now, nobody cares about black women's hair texture, okay?